Love big ideas in small doses? Hit subscribe. This is Thrive Thoughts. Let's unlock your peak potential.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into something fundamental, aren't we? Looking at what makes the difference between, just dreaming about change and actually making it happen.
We are, and it's often not what people think. Not raw talent or smarts, or even just waiting for that lightning bolt of motivation.
Exactly. It's more grounded. And that brings us to our source for this deep dive, Peter Hollins' book, How to Do Things You Hate. Quite a title.
It is. Self-discipline to suffer less, embrace the suck, and achieve anything. It's refreshingly blunt, I think.
Yeah, no punches pulled. It argues that real change comes from, doing the work, especially when you least feel like it.
Right. It positions itself not as just another motivational speech, but more like a practical blueprint.
The blueprint for mental toughness, yeah. It's about strategies to handle resistance, discomfort, and really understand discipline itself.
And that's what we want to unpack today. We've pulled out, about 15 key lessons from the book, insights that could genuinely rewire how you tackle those tasks you always put off.
Sounds good. Ready to build some mental resilience?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, this idea, and it's a big one, that self-discipline isn't fixed. It's not like eye color. The book says it's a learned skill. What does that actually mean in practice?
It's huge, really. It means you're not stuck. Discipline isn't something you either have or don't. You build it, like training a muscle at the gym.
Or like brushing your teeth. I think he uses that analogy.
Exactly. As a kid, it took effort, right?
Yeah.
Conscious thought. Now it's mostly automatic. Discipline works the same way. You start small, you stay consistent.
And eventually the discomfort fades or becomes more manageable.
Precisely. Each time you push through that I don't want to feeling, you're doing a rep for your discipline muscle. You're strengthening those pathways in your brain.
Okay, so that discomfort we feel starting a workout, tackling a hard project that's not actually a stop sign?
No, quite the opposite. That's the reframe Hollins pushes. Discomfort is an indicator, a sign of growth. It means you're stretching yourself, getting stronger.
So feeling like something is hard is good.
In a way, yeah. It means you're on the edge of your current ability, which is exactly where growth happens. It's a signal you're doing something worthwhile.
And he really emphasizes those days when you feel lowest, doesn't he? Those are the key training days.
Mm-hmm. That's when resilience is truly forged. The question isn't, do I feel 100%? It's, can I still show up, even at, say, 60% capacity?
Okay. So imperfect action on a bad day is more powerful than waiting for the perfect day.
Absolutely. That ability to show up regardless, that's real strength. Makes discipline feel less like, a punishment.
And more like an investment, yeah. Which leads to the ultimate payoff the book talks about, this idea that doing hard things builds unshakable confidence.
That's the core of it. It flips the script. Discipline isn't about restriction, it's about freedom. Every time you follow through on a commitment, especially when it's tough.
You prove to yourself you can rely on yourself.
Exactly. You build self-trust, grit. And that, Hollins argues, leads to a kind of inner peace, knowing you can handle things.
Okay, that's a powerful shift. But let's get practical. The biggest hurdle for so many people, myself included sometimes, is just starting. How do we get past that initial ugh feeling?
Right. Our emotions often scream, wait, later, not now.
Yeah, procrastination nation.
Hollins is very clear here. Action beats emotion. Don't wait to feel ready. That's a trap.
Why is it a trap? Our feelings feel pretty real.
They are real, but they're often aimed at short-term comfort, conserving energy. Your brain might generate dread just to keep you cozy. Discipline means acting anyway. Doing what you decided is right, despite the feeling.
So our feelings are basically terrible managers when it comes to difficult tasks.
You could say that. They prioritize comfort now over rewards later. So we need strategies to just begin.
Which brings us to the 5-minute rule. I've heard of this. It sounds almost too simple.
It does, but it's incredibly effective for breaking inertia. You just tell yourself, okay, I'll just do this for 5 minutes. That's it.
And the magic is?
The magic is that most of the mental resistance, that dread, it often vanishes once you're actually doing the thing. Starting really is like 80% of the battle, as Hollins puts it.
Like doing the dishes. You dread it, but once the water's running.
Exactly. Getting over that initial hump is key. Just get to the starting line.
And part of that is making it easier to get to the starting line, right? The book talks about removing friction.
Yes, absolutely. We often make things harder than they need to be. Removing friction is about designing your environment so the disciplined choice is the easy choice, or at least easier.
Can you give some examples?
Sure, like laying out your gym clothes the night before, no searching around bleary-eyed in the morning.
Or prepping healthy meals so you don't grab junk food when you're tired and hungry.
Right. Or, blocking distracting websites during work hours, moving your phone out of sight, anything that lowers the barrier to starting the desired action.
Make the good habit the path of least resistance.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It ties into another point. Don't negotiate with yourself.
Ah, the internal debate club. Alarm goes off. 5 more minutes.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
The idea is make the decision once, then just execute. Alarm rings. Get up. Time for workout. Go. No debating, no bargaining. Just follow the plan you already made.
That requires deciding ahead of time, though, which links to building systems.
Yes. This is crucial for long-term success. Relying on sheer willpower or motivation. Hollins compares it to a weak, unreliable battery. It drains fast.
So instead of willpower battles, you build systems, like routine.
Fixed routines, like always exercising at 7 a.m., time blocking, scheduling specific tasks into your calendar like appointments, pre-deciding what you'll do in certain situations, you automate the decision.
You take the moment of weakness negotiation off the table.
Exactly. You design your life to support your goals rather than constantly fighting your impulses.
Okay, that makes sense. And part of that system, or maybe a mindset within it, is focusing on the process, not just the end goal.
Yes, that's a really important distinction. It's easy to get overwhelmed by a huge goal like write a book.
Right, feels impossible sometimes.
So instead, you focus on a repeatable action, the process. I will write 500 words today. That's manageable. You can control that input.
And doing that consistently builds momentum.
It does. And it also starts to change your identity. You're not just someone who wants to write. You're someone who writes every day. The process creates the result, and it creates the person.
I like that. Okay, here's one that sounds fun. Pair tasks with enjoyment. Like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Sort of. It's about association. If you hate, say, folding laundry,
Guilty.
then maybe only listen to your absolute favorite podcast while you do it. Or save that really nice coffee for when you have to tackle boring emails.
So you link the unpleasant task with something genuinely pleasant.
Yeah. Your brain starts to build a positive association, or at least less negative. It anticipates the reward alongside the chore, which can make it, suck less.
Makes it easier to start, maybe even look forward to it. Slightly.
Maybe slightly. It just greases the wheels a bit.
And to keep the wheels turning, the book also suggests tracking your progress, like keeping streaks going.
Oh yeah, that taps right into our brain's reward circuitry. Seeing that visual progress, X's on a calendar, a streak counter in an app, whatever works for you.
It gives you a little dopamine hit.
Exactly. That little yes feeling. It reinforces the behavior. Your brain essentially says, hey, that consistency thing, it feels good, let's do it again tomorrow. It makes the consistency itself rewarding.
And related to rewards, there's this point about rewarding effort, not just the final result. Why is that important?
Because results can take a long time, right? If you only reward the marathon finish, what keeps you going during those rainy Tuesday morning runs?
Good point. So you reward the run itself.
You reward completing the planned effort. Finish that tough workout. Okay, maybe allow yourself 10 minutes to relax with music. Completed that writing session. Acknowledge it, maybe with a short break or a healthy snack you enjoy.
So it's like training your brain. Good job doing the hard thing.
Precisely. It creates a positive feedback loop tied to the action, reinforcing the habit itself, even before the big outcome arrives. It makes the process feel more positive.
This all sounds very manageable. Start small, remove friction, build systems, track, reward. But then comes a dose of realism. Lesson 14. Accept that some things will always suck.
Yeah, that's the tough love part, maybe. Some tasks just aren't going to become fun. Ever.
Like cold calling for sales, maybe? Or dealing with complex spreadsheets?
Or certain types of exercise you just tolerate. Or budgeting. The point isn't to magically start liking these things.
So what is the point?
It's about respecting what they give you. You do them not for the joy of the task, but for the outcome they enable the clients. The fitness, the financial stability.
So accept the suck. Focus on the why.
Exactly. Stop fighting the reality that it's unpleasant. Accept it. And do it anyway. Because you value the result more than you dislike the process. It frees up a lot of mental energy.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. Taking a step back, the core message seems to be a major shift away from waiting for inspiration.
Definitely. Most people wait for motivation. This is about actively building discipline, systematically. It's about choosing long-term direction over short-term dopamine hits.
Moving from reaction to intention.
And understanding that suffering less often means embracing necessary discomfort, not constantly trying to avoid it. It's about building that mental mastery.
Not just hacks, but a deeper change.
Right. Which brings us back to that powerful quote from Hollins.
Self-discipline is the gateway to everything you want.
That's the one. It frames discipline not as a cage, but as the key.
So for everyone listening, what's the takeaway? Where do you even start with all this?
Start small. Seriously small. Pick one thing you've been avoiding. Just one.
Maybe that phone call, or cleaning one shelf, or writing one paragraph.
Exactly. Then use one strategy. Maybe the 5-minute rule. Maybe just lay out the clothes. Commit to that tiny action and do it again tomorrow.
Build the muscle one small rep at a time.
That's it. Consistency compounds. And the confidence and self-trust you build along the way, that's the real transformation.